When you guys are out there in the marketplace looking for a home inspector, I think one of the most important aspects of a good home inspector is somebody who's been through it, somebody who has years and years of experience behind them and has seen thousands and thousands of defects in homes. You really learn home inspection by doing it. Yeah, you can learn a little bit from a textbook and a little bit from in the field training. But really, what makes a good home inspector is somebody who's been through it, who's seen all these defects in the homes. And I think that, anyone with, 10 plus years of experience, I think probably has seen many, and a multitude of different defects. It takes that long really to understand the problems, that sometimes we find in homes. Also, you want to make sure that that person who you choose to be a home inspector for you is available after the home inspection so you can ask questions. They can be there for you. They can help develop that list of potential asks to, bring to the seller of the house, so that 5 or 6 items, a good home inspector is going to help you try to weed through the multitude of problems maybe that they find in the home. Maybe you find 15 or 20 different deficiencies in a house, but it's knowing what the top 5 or 6 deficiencies, that is also very important in today's marketplace. So you understand kind of where you stand as far as the big problems exist. Another aspect of home inspection is a home inspector has to understand when is appropriate to call for further evaluation on an item. So this also has to do with, and this also can be learned with years and years of experience, is that crack in the foundation wall something significant, or is it just a normal settlement or movement of the building over time? Is that structural deficiency requiring further evaluation, or is it something that a contractor can fix? You don't want to hire a home inspector who finds every single deficiency. They're going to call for a specialist to come in for further evaluation. That's kind of one of my pet peeves in the home inspection industry. I've read a lot of home inspection reports where home inspectors will just go into the field and they'll call for further evaluation for the most mundane situations that they should be able to diagnose or to give feedback to the client. So please be careful with that. You don't want to hire somebody who's going to call for further evaluation on these simple little matters that the home inspector should be educated on. Because then what are you paying us for? Why are you hiring a professional to come into the house if we're just going to say that this thing or that thing, this system and this system has to be evaluated further by somebody else? I don't think that brings a lot to the table, and I really tried to avoid doing that. I try to avoid going, unless it's absolutely necessary, to bring in a specialist for further evaluation. Sometimes you have to. I mean, sometimes there's no choice in the matter. But many times, we know the answer. I know the answer, and I can provide that answer, and I can provide that feedback and that guidance to you. So I think that's very important also. So here on this next video, we have some of the recent defects that I found doing home inspections here in New Jersey. Let's take a look, see what we have, and hopefully you'll get an idea of some of the things that we find almost daily in homes here in New Jersey performing home inspections. Thanks very much for watching. We'll talk to you soon. When you're a home inspector and you pull up to the house and the first thing you see is a front porch that looks like this and an upper story that looks like this, you know it's going to be, yep, one of those days. Just taking a look at this very old house. So this house is from the early 1900s, and I just took a look at this left side and I walked across the street to a park because I wanted to take a better look at this house. And sometimes you can get a better view of a house if you give it some distance. You're not on top of the house. So here, There's a significant slope of this house going towards the front of the house. I don't know if you can see it or not in the video, but the whole house is sloping several inches to the front, which is a pretty significant amount of sloping. Inside the home also, the floors are sloped, the upstairs floors are sloped, everything is sloped. So this is something that I'm going to recommend an engineer come in to take a look at, just to see how significant this is. And I do think it's very significant, actually. So it just goes to show you, you need to look at all areas of the house and take a vantage point far away enough from the home to get that distance type of view. And don't just rely on your very close perspective of the home. You need to look further out as well. We have a couple problems here with this window in the bathroom, this tub area here. So first off, the window has to be safety glass or tempered glass. And there's usually an indication at the corner of the window to indicate that it is a safety glass or tempered glass window that is suitable for an in the tub or in the shower enclosure location. And then I just don't like windows in shower areas anyway, because we get all this wood rot happening here. So I did put a moisture meter. This is all moisture damage through the sill here. So we're getting water penetration through. And our fear is that water is going to get behind the wall here, behind the wall cavity, go down, cause mold growth behind this wall here. So this is something that's going to have to be opened up and repaired. You can see it's all soft. I can just push right through with my fingers here. So definitely a must do. Here we have a stucco exterior 5 inches below the grade. So I dug down here just to see how far that stucco goes below grade, and it's about 5 inches. This is an improper installation with stucco because water can wick up behind the stucco, and it also makes it more vulnerable for termites, carpenter ants, also to find the structure of the home because they can get behind here. Another big problem is that stucco is a porous material, so water will actually can enter behind it, and it needs to be able to drain from behind the stucco. So here we don't have any kind of drainage plane or any kind of flashing that would allow water to drain behind the stucco. So this is an improper installation and quite a big deal actually, because now that it's installed, how do you fix it? And there could be problems behind the stucco and behind the interior walls that, you know, home inspector like myself could not view today. So pretty big issue here, and we'll tell the client when they get here. The owner of the home wanted to install a couple of registers in this movie area in the finished basement. So he put these returns in right in the main trunk line here. Actually, these are registers. And then he put 2 returns right here. This is the main return line. So look at how close these are together. Air's going to come out of here and be sucked right into here. And that's going to kind of negate this. And it's not really going to work properly. We don't really want to have returns and registers this close together. So I get the idea what he was trying to do, but it's not really the way to do this. We need to have our returns here separate from our registers here in order to prevent air from being sucked in from here into here and then returning too quickly. So this is going to be inefficient and should be corrected by an HVAC contractor for sure. This crack, at first impression, looks like it's a pretty significant crack here at the rear of this foundation. But if we look closer, this is just the cement coating or Porch coating on the wall here that's actually become loose. So this is actually a repair to the foundation wall that somebody did. And they installed it too thin and water got behind it. There's no wire lath behind here. And so they just put it on the foundation wall without any help. And you can see the foundation wall behind here is still true. There's no cracking. We'll go downstairs to confirm this. But what looks like a pretty significant issue is really just mostly aesthetic here at the back of the house. So you have to be aware of this. You can't call a major crack a minor crack and a minor crack a major crack. This is just something that should be repaired, and it's not really indicative of a major structural concern, although it looks pretty nasty. So I'm looking at this bedroom. This is the only window in the bedroom, and look at how narrow that window is here from top to bottom. So this window isn't going to meet modern fire egress requirements for safety because the window doesn't open wide enough. So to be a proper fire egress window, we need to have 20 inches wide, which we do have, 24 inches high, and a square footage of open space of 5.7 square feet, and we definitely don't have that here. So this is something that is an important safety hazard because we're in a third floor, and a fireman fully dressed needs to be able to enter the building through this window, or an occupant needs to properly escape the building through an egress window, and this is the only window in the room. So this is something that I'm going to bring to the client's attention. It should be addressed. We should have a window replaced with proper fire egress requirements so we're not trapped in the event of a fire emergency. The guardrails here don't meet modern requirements for safety because they have horizontal members which are climbable by a child, so a child can climb up and fall over and become injured. Also, the guardrails don't meet requirements for 4-inch openings, so these gaps right here are much wider than 4 inches, and I can't have any guardrail with a gap that's wider than 4 inches. So this is something that the buyer of the house should correct, especially if there's children in the family. I know that plumbing contractors are rather expensive, but look what we have here. We have sort of this makeshift looking waste drain here, pipe. This is not an actual P-trap. And we do smell sewer gas odors in the area of the sink, and that's because we don't have a proper P-trap here. We have sort of this loop, and that's just going to allow sewer gas to enter up through the sink here. So a plumbing contractor should be called in order to design and install a proper P-trap so we mitigate the sewer line odors that are coming through the drain that we smell in this area caused by this improperly installed horseshoe trap. Another horizontal shear crack right here through the front foundation wall of this house. And the reason why this is cracking is because water is being directed towards the front of the house. There is a significant negative grade that is directing water to the front of the house. And as that water pressure pushes on the foundation wall, we get this horizontal cracking, which is a structural crack. Typically, the way to fix this is to install carbon fiber strapping from the top of the wall to the bottom of the wall. At least that's one of the most popular ways to fix it, the most cost-effective probably way to fix it in this area anyway. But this is something that's structural, and the client's going to have to work something out with the seller for sure, because this is a structural crack through the foundation at the front of the home. It doesn't look like much, but it is pretty significant. Here we have a downspout that's discharging too close to this brick foundation wall, and we can see that these bricks right here are actually becoming loose. There's some displacement, and all the mortar joints are deteriorated. And this is because all the years of this water just pouring right against this foundation wall here. So we're going to go inside, we're going to look for further water penetration issues, and we're going to look for foundation displacement issues as well. My initial thought is, I don't think this is a major structural problem, but it is something that I'm going to have to take a look at a little bit further when I get down to the basement. So make sure you guys divert these downspouts away from the foundation walls at all times to prevent issues like this and to help minimize water problems in your basements. I'm on top of this garage roof right here, and we see all this vegetation growing, all this debris here, all this vegetation on this low sloped asphalt roof. This is a rolled roofing material. And we don't want to see all this vegetation, because what's going to happen here is water is just going to be retained on the roof, and ultimately we're going to leak through. Now, this roof covering is not very old. However, this vegetation needs to be removed for sure, because it's not going to do us any favors regarding water retention and damage to the roof surface. So if you guys go to a house, you see something like this on a garage roof or house roof, we don't want any vegetation or debris collection on a roof surface in any way. So should be definitely carefully removed. So this is a low slope garage roof. So all our water is going to be going towards the front of the garage and over the front of the garage roof. So all our water is going to end up right here in front of the garage. And there is evidence of water penetration here and under the door and under the man door right here also. So what I'm going to recommend is a gutter system be installed just so we can divert that water away. Even on a low slope roof like this, we want gutters so water just doesn't collect against the front foundation or rear foundation wall, whatever way the roof is sloping. So this is something that definitely should be corrected. Also, we need a proper drip edge here across the front so water doesn't ride under the shingles caused by the surface tension of water and cause damage to the end of our roof decking. So this is something that the client definitely should correct. Here we have this synthetic or plastic shower pan here. And I always like to kind of, if I'm not going to get wet or anything, just put a foot in here. And I like to press like this. And you hear that noise, that's way too much deflection underneath this shower pan. And what's happening is you can cause cracking and damage under here because it's not supported well. There should be a nice firm base under here, and we just don't have that. And that noise will drive you crazy every time you take a shower as well. So this should be corrected for sure. Even on a garage roof, I always recommend that there's a gutter system installed. Here we see that the garage has no gutter. And what happens here is just water is going to collect. It's going to come right over the garage roof and end up down the side of the garage. So when we go inside this garage here, we're going to be looking for water penetration, of course, through the foundation walls. But when this garage roof is replaced, we always recommend that we install a gutter system, and that's very useful in piping our water away from the exterior garage walls. Here we have a garage roof that's significantly covered with moss. Now, little moss generally doesn't cause issues with the garage roof or any roof covering for that matter, but this is a lot of moss, and the moss has oils in it and retains water, and this can cause a lot of damage to the garage roof. We have an older roof anyway here on the garage, and the reason we have the moss is that we're not getting a lot of sunlight on this left side of the garage. So we have a house behind me here that's blocking sun, and we have some tree cover. So this is something that a roof that would have to be replaced. It's in a condition now that when I go inside the garage, I bet that we're going to find some leakage and some other issues here. Right now I'm under the front porch, and when we have a front porch that's actually part of the basement, and we have a structural cement porch top, they always leak all the time. So see some water penetration here, water penetration here, because it's next to impossible to properly seal these areas. Snow and ice, water, they're just laying on the front porch and it's leaking through here. So we want to correct this, right? We want to correct this. We want to make sure that everything's well sealed, but this is a structural cement. Then what you're looking at here is just the frame of that structural cement porch. That's not what's actually holding. These thin 2x4s are not what's actually supporting that very heavy front porch. It's a cement porch with rebar on top of this, and it's leaking. This is what we see all the time in these porches. So this just has to be controlled a little bit better. We have some abandoned ductwork here in the basement. And this white material that's here, this is an asbestos insulation that they used to put around this old ductwork here. So this is a health hazard. It's in poor condition, and we want this professionally removed. Over at the front of the house, there's also some more, but you can kind of see this white material here. You see this in a house. It is likely to be asbestos material that is a health hazard in this condition. This is the front of that foundation wall where the slope at the front of the home is directing water to the house. And we can see all these areas of moisture here. So this is a cement coating
that they put on the interior brick of the foundation, but you can still see that water penetration all through these bricks. So I used a moisture meter here just to confirm this, and everything here is getting wet. So this is not considered a dry basement. We're going to recommend a water dewatering system be installed here, just to prevent water from getting in this basement further. So it is also a very musty smell here, indicating that we probably have some mold growth. But you can see all these water stains and seepage coming through the basement foundation walls.
Back of this garage here, the ceiling has been removed, so we have a bathroom above us here in the back of a garage, but no proper fire protection, so we need a fire-rated ceiling installed in the back of this garage just to help avoid a fire chasing quickly from the garage to the upper floor. So the ceiling has to be completely fire-rated to prevent fire from chasing to the garage, up from the garage to the upper portion of the house. Here we have a negative grade that's going to direct water to this right side garage wall right here. So this garage wall right here is going to be vulnerable to water penetration, water infiltration issues, because our water is going to be rolling down this hill and ending up right along this right side wall. So we're going to enter the garage. We're going to look for water penetration here. This is the garage that has no gutter system too, so water is going to end up here. I bet you we're going to find a lot of problems along this right side garage wall caused by the grade of the ground and also the lack of gutter system here. Here we have a stone veneer installation that is slightly below grade also. This is another improper installation because any water that were to get behind this stone needs to be able to drain out. So with the stone so close to the soil, the drainage plane or weep screed is blocked with the soil, so that any water that gets behind here is not going to be able to drain out properly. So this is another correction that's going to have to be done. Same house as the stucco issue. So where this dryer vent exits the rear garage wall, this is actually a breach in the fire rating of the wall. We can't have a flexible dryer vent pipe come in here through the interior of the house into the garage because this area needs to be completely fire rated. So that's something that's going to have to be corrected to avoid fire hazards. When we have an oil tank located in a garage, we should have some kind of barrier system here just to help protect that oil tank from vehicle damage. If we were to move a car in this garage and the car were to veer over to the left, we could cause damage to this oil tank here at this position. So we should have some kind of barrier or pylon system in front of the oil tank just to help protect the tank from damage.